Now, in this part of the tutorial, we are going to now create our adapter. So in the previous video, we created the layouts that we need. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pass in an array of strings because that's what we're going to use to bind our data together. So I'm going to create private file data set, and we're going to have array string, and then we are going to extend to the RecyclerView adapter. So we need to extend to the RecyclerView adapter. Then inside of here, we're going to pass in our custom adapter, and then dot view holder, which is a class we're going to create inside of there, and we're going to invoke it. Okay, we're going to invoke it. Once we invoke it, it's given us an error because there are some compulsory members or methods that we need to implement. So if you click on implement members and select these three, sometimes it would create it for you. Sometimes you have to create that yourself. So I'm going to try and see if I click on OK, it's going to create it for me. Okay, so it didn't actually create that for me, which is fine. So what I need to do is I need to create those methods myself. So what I'm going to do is here. So some of the methods that we're going to have is we're going to override some methods. So override, you can see here, this method here, it has here for us, override, fun. I don't know why it's doing dummy for us. So override fun, we can say on create, on create view holder, override fun, on create view holder. And then we're going to pass in a view group, okay, which is the parent, is going to be the parent. And then we're going to pass in the view type, which is going to be supposed to be view type is going to be of an int. Okay, and then it's going to extend a view holder. Okay, so this here we have here is our our onCreate view holder function. Then the next thing we need to create is an override, override fun, and then we can say on bind view holder. And then inside the onBind view holder is going to take the view. We're just going to pass in a view holder. And then this view holder, we're going to pass in our view holder class, which we haven't created yet. But once we create it, you understand it. Position is going to be the position of each view in there. It's an integer. This is if it doesn't create it for you. Sometimes it doesn't create it for you. Sometimes it will. Then I'm going to create another method called override fun get item count, right? Which is going to return to us the size of our array. So I'm going to put data set dot size. This will give us the size of our item that we have in our array. Now, in our onCreate view holder, we need to now connect to our layout. The layout that we created in the first video, which is the simple layout example. We need to connect to it. So each item in our list is going to have this layout. So we need to connect to this layout because it's going to use something called layout inflator to create a view for us. Okay, it's going to create a new view from each list item. Okay, so in there, we're just going to do val view equals layout inflator dot from. You're looking for the from, and then we're going to pass in the view group, the variable that we created, dot context, and then dot inflate. And then we are going to look for the layout that we are supposed to be using. So layout.simple layout example, right? And then Once it takes that layout, the next thing we have to put in is we have to pass in the view group again, which is the parent. And then the last one is false. We set that to false. Okay. And then we need to return that view. We need to return that view in order to use it. Okay, so we're going to return the view. And the reason why we're returning it is because when we created that method, we said we're returning something. Okay, so we need to return the view holder. But you see here that it's giving us an error because this view holder that we're trying to, return, we haven't actually created it yet. So I believe that that's what the error that is given to us. We'll find out later once we create it if it goes away. Then what I'm going to do now is before I move on to my unbind view holder, I'm actually going to create this view holder class that we're talking about. So to create this view holder class is just going to create class. So we're going to say view holder. We're going to pass in overview of the view. And then we're going to extend, there's a RecyclerView dot view holder we're going to extend. And then it's going to return to us a view. Now inside of here, this is where we now can find all our items in that simple layout example. So in this simple layout example, we can now find all the items that we have and have reference to it, so we can use it in code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do var or val, whatever you want to do, username equals, I'm going to use this view because that view there is basically the view that is the simple layout view that we have. And then it's a text view, so r.id.txt username, and then val. Remember, we also had a button, btn edit user equals view.find view by id button, and then we're going to do r.id.button.edit user. Right. So if we had any more views in that simple layout that we had, the layout that we had, we can get more, we can have more reference to it as well. Then in our unbind view holder now, we now need to bind the data, the strings that we have to our view items. So what we're going to do is I'm going to now do view holder, which is the view holder we're passing in here. Dot. Remember, we're creating an object. We're passing in this view holder here. This view holder here is what we're passing in here. So that view holder would have our txt username dot text, and we're saying set the text to the data set, and then pass in the positioning. Okay. So what this is going to do is that it's going to look for the first item on the list, because if we have 10 items in our string, or 10 lists, 10 array of strings, then we also have 10 view elements on the screen, for example. What it's going to do is going to match them up. So the positioning on first one will go to the first one, second one will go to the second one, third one will go to the third one. So that's what happens in the unbind view holder. So at this moment, we're setting the txt to that. If we had, for example, if we want to set the button to an ID or change the ID behind it or the button, etc., this is where we start putting all the code together here. In this unbind view holder, that's where we start putting data and the views together. And what we've basically been able to do is that we've actually finished with our custom adapter, because all we've done in our custom adapter is we've created a class. We've used those compulsory methods that it gives us. We've created our onCreate view holder, our unbind view holder, and we're getting the size of our data set. And then we created a class called view holder, which extends the RecyclerView.view holder and gives us access to all of our views inside the simple layout example, so that we'll be able to have it in code in our unbind view holder. Now, in the next video, I will show you how to put it all together.